What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special episode of EZPZ Podcast. I'm coming at you from a Ford Fusion? From a Ford Fusion on the way home from Vans Warped Tour 2018. It was my 7th year. Joining me this week, Nick.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
What up, Nick? And we got B-Word in the driver's seat up in here. He's driving.
Hey, I'm driving.
Hey, I'm driving. Yeah, obviously he doesn't have a mic in his hand, so whenever he wants to say something, if he has anything to add, we'll just toss Nick's mic over to him. I'm sitting in the back seat, though. I can basically not hear anybody, but I'll do my best to hear Nick.
This cabin is really quiet. This is a really nice ride.
A nice car. There's probably some, background noise that you're picking up hearing on this podcast, but hey, guys, we're doing a special episode on the way home. It's Sunday, July 22nd. On our way home from that 2018 Vans Warped Tour, the final one, the last full country trip.
Rip.
Nick, how did we start out the day? What did we do?
The drive there was easy. Thanks to Alex.
B-Word's got his company car up in this bish, and he just plowed through it easy peasy. I took a nice nap. I brought my pillow because I got to work at 6 a.m. tomorrow, so it's already 9-something. But yeah, Nick, what was the first thing we do? I got all my notes here, chronological order of all the stuff we saw. We got here kind of early, right? And we just waited for a little bit for Cassie.
Yeah, we got in right around noon, I think. 11. Well, we got here at 11, and then by the time we walked in, it was getting closer to noon, I think.
Yeah.
When we were walking in, we didn't stop and see them per se, but D's Nuts was playing, which is
we could hear them.
A band that I've seen a few times in town, so they're always fun to check out. Australian hardcore, rap, core, fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We went and checked out the merch. They had a lot of great merch, honestly, this year. I was pretty surprised, pretty happy with it. That's kind of how Warped Tour is every year, I think. They always got really, really good merch.
Yeah.
Every band has a merch tent that's probably written into their contract in some sort of way. Every Time I Die had 2, for instance. The Maine had 2 or 3 or something crazy. But yeah, lots of good merch. I held out. I did a good job there. Didn't spend any money on it. But after we checked out the merch for a little bit, we watched the Maine for a few songs. What did you think about them?
I did like the Maine. It was fun. This is my first time seeing them. I've listened to them a lot when I was younger, so they put it on a pretty good show.
Yeah, for sure. They did something that a lot of bands have done. Even honestly, I've seen one band already this month do it, where they said, "We're Dave Matthews Band," and then they said their city they're from, their city, state, something in Arizona. And I was just thinking in my head, I just saw Remo Drive do that at 8035.
Oh yeah.
Say that they were Dave Matthews Band. Weird. But hey, they were still pretty good. I've never been a huge fan of the Maine, but I could see where you would like them a lot. They were very, very good pop music. But
yeah,
when they were blowing up,
Victory band. Were they on Victory? I swear they were.
Alex, we were shaking his head. No, they were not on Victory.
I thought they were back in the day, but maybe not.
Either way, they're a really good band that writes great pop music. But hey, back in the day when they were blowing up, just like, what's that other band that we were listening to? All Time Low. All Time Low, Just like when they were blowing up, I wasn't listening to pop music.
That was like that same time frame.
Yeah. They all blew up together. I was listening to Screamo, though. I was listening to Radiohead and then Screamo. Yeah. So props to the Maine, though. They've been a band for a long time now, guys, 15 years. That's something that we're going to notice a lot here on this Warped Tour. I mean, we got a lot of veterans because, you know what? This is the 24th year they've been happening. I wish they could have made it a 25. 24 would be good enough. So it looks like we got Wikipedia over here finding out where the Maine was. What label did they sign to?
Did it say Fearless? Yeah, they're on Fearless.
Fearless. Okay. So after the Maine, we watched a few songs. The sun was baking down on us. It's kind of right there. I was like, okay, I'm actually going to be responsible. I'm 27 years old. I'm starting to see wrinkles more and more prominently. I'm going to apply sunscreen. Actually apply it and reapply it. And I actually did. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, we stayed up on it. I still got a little burnt, but...
Yeah. Oh, you got a lot of bit burnt, but I mean, what can you do? If you're in the sun for 10 hours, Nick.
A lot of bit burnt. Yeah, I know. I tried my best.
So we checked out some more merch, got our drink tickets, only accepting cash, not really that different, nothing really poor to say about that. We went and got water. They only had one fill station.
Yeah, that was not cool.
We'll get into a little bit more on the water situation later. But after that, though, we went and caught Real Friends. Real Friends is one of those bands that Alex B-Word, my sister, especially those two, they've talked about Real Friends a ton, tried to get me to listen to Real Friends. They actually both got me to listen to Real Friends at some point in time in the car, on a car ride. And that's kind of a good place. I mean, what can I do? Jump out of the car? You know, I have to listen.
Right.
But they were really good. I didn't get to see them play. What's that new single called, B-Word? That new single that's just from the outside. Excuse me. I didn't get to see them play that because we had to rush over to Senses Fail. We actually missed 1 or 2 songs from Senses Fail. That's in our top 5. All 3 of us in our top 3 probably.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
see Senses Fail. Buddy killed it. Nick, I'm gonna toss it to you. Let's talk about that Senses Fail show.
It was a super good set all around. They played a lot of old stuff, which I was super excited for. We're driving into some fog, so this may be our last podcast, guys.
Oh, come on, man. Don't say that.
I'm kidding. No, the set was amazing. They did that whole like hype thing in the middle where they did a bunch of covers back to back.
Yeah, it's like they played the chorus of 4 covers. Nick, do you know which ones they played?
They started with System of a Down. Was it Chop Suey that they did?
Yeah, correct.
And then it went into, what, Fat Lip?
Into Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Oh, yeah, Bodies.
Drowning Pools. Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Yes. Then Fat Lip. And then...
It's just one of those days.
And then Bulls on Parade.
Then Bulls
awesome.
on Parade. And then they played 2 more songs, including one of their newer ones that came out on the album that came out in March. I know Nick really liked that album. And Buddy even said he looked pretty good on stage. I mean, he doesn't look like he's super duper healthy, no offense to him, but he just doesn't. But he still was moving around a ton, and like, of course, he has great charisma and just has a great time.
He had a ton of energy.
They were playing, about to play that new song, from their new album, The Gallows or whatever, and he said that hey, if you like Let It Enfold You, please check this album out because it's just like Let It Enfold You. I kind of felt almost like bad when I heard him say that.
Right.
Because it's like, they put out Let It Enfold You in 2003, and it blew the heck up. I remember listening to it through our apartment wall, 2003 or 4. I think it was 4. Because that summer, I remember listening through the wall from my sister's bedroom in my apartment when my parents split up and I moved to Waukee. And I remember listening. That album went along with like The Used and went along with Under Oath and stuff like that. I listened through like the wall.
Yeah.
So really,
that's probably one of my most
you.
like listened to albums of all time. Maybe it's up there with like how many listens I have on that album for sure.
Totally. And so that was pretty cool for you to see them, dude.
Oh yeah. That was a bucket list one for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
You have another one that we're going to get to here shortly, but first, let's talk about that last song by Senses Fail to cap off probably my favorite set of the entire day. They had Hatebreed in the middle of Bite to Break Skin,
yes.
dude.
That was crazy.
Does anybody know what song that Hatebreed song was?
I don't know which one it was.
It was the breakdown from Perseverance.
Perseverance breakdown. It was massive. Then they went into the actual breakdown for Bite to Break Skin. Phenomenal.
Yeah, that
absolutely
was awesome.
loved it. They just know, like, come on, guys. It's Warped. It's the last one. They know they're just playing to the crowd. They don't really care that much about selling that new album that just came out in March. You know, they could have played 4 songs off that out of the 8, 10 that they can play.
And I was actually thinking that too, with the limited set time that they even have, it was crazy for them to do all those covers.
Yeah,
I think they
agree.
would want to try to push out as much of their own stuff as they wanted, you know?
Yeah, I really loved how they only played one new song, and they just catered to the crowd. They did a great job. They were probably my favorite set of the whole day. After that, Nick, that was a Red Mutant Lightning or whatever stage, which is just the Red Mutant Lightning and the White Lightning are next to each other, the monster stages, and it's like basically like a mini main stage, not quite as big as the Journey's Left and Right Foot.
Yep.
But just for as you guys, listeners playing at home, imagination, that's kind of how it's set up. So after that, we ate and went and saw Grayscale. I loved Grayscale's set, really solid. Alex B-Word gave us the thumbs up. That's pretty good. You know, if you can get a thumbs up out of B-Word, that's great. But they're going to be one of those bands that if Warped continued, I think 4 or 5 years from now, they'd play on a bigger stage. Because they did play on that, not Full Sail, but the Ernie Ball Owly.fm stage, which is basically the only small stage besides that Full Sail University stage. Phenomenal, though. They played, I don't know of their song names very much because I just started listening the last couple of weeks, but they ended with Fever Dream, which is looks like their hit song. I mean, most people are moving around the most for that. So we're creeping into the afternoon now. Mayday Parade. What do you think about them, Nick?
We were kind of off to the side more, waiting for
4 Years Strong.
4 Years Strong to go on, yeah. But yeah, they sounded good. I'd seen them once before years ago at People's. Yeah, it must have been People's. And I was like super into them back then, and we had a good time there. And they played all their hits. They played Black Cat and a bunch of stuff from whatever that album's called. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Their main album. I've noticed a lot of these older bands, yeah, they did play a lot of their old stuff, and they were playing to the crowd, which was awesome.
I agree. I thought it was really cool how the lead singer told the story about how when they heard this is the final Warp, they're like, well, wouldn't it be so cool if we could get on the Warp Tour, but also Blink-182 could play?
Right.
And then, you know, of course, we all know the lineup. It was great for some states, some tour dates. Some tour dates had Under Oath. Some tour dates had The Used. Some tour dates had even bigger bands than that. I mean,
Sum 41.
Sum 41, yeah. I just got some shout out here from B-Word. Anybody else know of any other big acts that we missed because of just Minneapolis?
I think those are the 3 big ones I noticed that I was bummed about.
I think Knocked Loose played Chicago yesterday too. So, I mean, not that Knocked Loose is huge, but they are going to sell a couple wristbands. I mean, they're blowing up. They're doing great stuff. But they did say, hey, you know, we'll play a Blink-182 song. Screw it. So they covered Girl at the Rock Show. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
After that, just kicks into 4 Years Strong. Like I said, the main stage on the left was the left foot, Journey's left foot. The main stage on the right was the right foot. So we were already ready for 4 Years Strong to come on, and they ripped apart Warped. I mean, I think 4 Years Strong had the most crowd interaction that I saw personally.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was super high energy. Again, playing a lot of their older stuff, their hits.
They played a lot of hits, and they of course ended with Wasting Time. I mean, I obviously knew it because I looked up setlist before to build my Warped Tour playlist, but just without even listening to 4 Years Strong, like, consistently over the last 2 or 3 years, you know that's their biggest song. You know they're going to end with that.
Yeah, it was so good.
Biggest pit, I will say, though. It was the biggest pit I've seen all day. It
actually was, yeah.
So after that, we kind of walked around for a while, looked at some merch. I got Shelby a shirt, my little sister.
Yeah, I was going to say, at some point in there is when Alex tried to rescue the water situation.
We headed back, and Alex B-Word... what do you have to say for yourself, B-Word?
So there was only one water station, and then they had another station with like these weird hoses hanging, and they were just dripping water, like not a stream, just literal drips of water, and they were expecting people to fill up their things. So,
and it's pretty hot, like it's 85 degrees
and no shade.
Yeah.
So I got a penny from Cassie, and I took the faucet apart, and it started pouring water faster. So then I went and took another one apart, and it stopped altogether.
It stopped like these 3 like spigots.
It just stopped altogether. And then I felt really bad because I thought I broke water for everybody, and the lines were huge. But Shaun came back later, and what I suspected was the little water tank they were using was out because they were bringing another one over on a cart. And Shaun said they had taken all those spigots off that I took off because we put them back on, and it was just pouring water that time, so I didn't break it. It was just out of water.
Yeah, exactly. So, B-Word, you don't have anything to feel bad about because of that fact. Like, straight up, people were like showering essentially in the water, like just jumping in it. It was like kind of weird. But yeah, so B-Word fucked up the water, and then we went and saw I went to the EZPZ merch. I wanted to see. We got some French fries. Wanted to see if I was gonna buy some EZPZ merch. I ended up holding off. Like one of the first times ever. Didn't even buy a single shirt. Didn't buy a single piece at all. And then we went to the main stages again to see some of Real Big Fish and then just be ready for Simple Plan. So Simple Plan is, Nick, I'll kick it to you for Real Big Fish and Simple Plan.
Yeah, Real Big Fish was another one of those bands that I wanted to check out just because they're always on the lineup. They have been on for, 10, 12 years?
Yeah, they're up there. I think they're tied with Every Time I Die. So Less Than Jake is the reigning champions and forever will be of Warped. They've been on over half of the Warped tours. So like I said at the top of the show, 24 years, 24 Warps, Every Time I Die, and I think it's Real Big Fish are tied for number 2 spot. So
they're kind of one of those bands that I know I probably won't get a chance to see outside of this.
If we're lucky, we on a day, date, and maybe an opener, we can go see them at Simon Estes, though. They play there quite often.
Yeah, true. But they had, another good set. They're kind of one of those bands I never really followed heavily, but I knew all their, hits from movies and stuff. They always had songs in movies and old shows and stuff, so it was a good time. And then, and then Mayday Parade.
Simple Plan.
Or wait, and then Simple Plan, yeah, duh.
The sun's getting to you.
It's been a long day, I'm tired. Anyway, yes, kick it to you for Simple Plan.
Simple Plan was awesome. Simple Plan played a lot of songs that... It's one of those bands that they're going to play stuff that I know, but I had forgotten I know. Like how many songs that they had, how many hits. Addicted, Perfect. I mean, there's just so many songs. And never was really a big fan of Simple Plan. I would say I was a way bigger fan of Sum 41. And for some reason, I always get those bands mixed up in my head. It doesn't make sense because one was like a shooting star that like burnt out and like almost the lead singer almost died because he had alcohol. He was alcoholic. Sum 41. And then one Simple Plan who's been consistent. As soon as we got in the car and we were talking about them, B-Word mentioned about how they look like they've done this for a while, and I totally agree. Like, they're veterans. They took a hiatus when they needed to take a hiatus so they didn't destroy them, and they came back rocking it. During the middle of the show, Matt from 303 ended up coming out with some super soakers, and they were spraying down the crowd because, we're at the top of the day, guys, at 5:20, 5:30, and it's, the hottest it's probably going to be, maybe just barely cooling off from that top point of the day.
Yeah, it was rough. They had the beach balls out there. They threw beach balls out there.
Yeah, I got a couple of good pictures of that. That was fun.
Yeah, again, playing all the songs you know and love for their short set. They really have to cherry pick which songs they're going to play. What was up with that
weird situation where like the drummer came out, but who was that other random guy?
It was just the drummer.
Yeah,
I think then the other guy came out, like the long-haired dude.
I don't know what they were doing.
They were just like trying to get the world's most crowd surfers, which didn't make sense because they weren't even playing a song. They were just literally trying to get people to crowd surf without any song.
Yeah, another kind of a weird thing to... they were just trying to hype up the crowd and have fun, but another weird thing to do when your set times aren't that long, But overall, it was a great set. They sounded amazing live. They were one of the...
Yes, that's what you kept saying. I agree.
The sun, awesome live.
The sun was baking down on us so much, dude. I had to like reapply sunscreen. I copied Nick. He had his bandana over his hat, so like it was covering his face. I did the same thing. Just at this point in time, I was like, just really like, okay. After I see this band, I literally don't care enough to stay for any of the other acts except for the one closing out the day, Every Time I Die. So that's kind of what mood I was in. I was still having a good time, but we did watch state champs for like a minute, and then we headed and sat at the mutant stages right at the front gates where we watched the Amity Affliction. Never really was a big fan of that band ever. They may have opened for bands I've seen. Just like I kind of lump them all together with like Chelsea Grin.
Yeah.
Anyone that has like weird metal looking text as like their logo.
I think Wage War was playing at that time too when we were sitting down. Just kind of
Harm's Way, right? Harm's Way played after the Amity Affliction.
Okay,
on the stage that Every Time I Die was going to play, and then on the left the Red Lightning one where Senses Fail played. It was Wage War, and then I was just pretty much watching Wage War for a song or two. I went up and watched for a song or two, and then watched Every Time I Die, set up their stage. Then we saw the boys rip apart Shakopee, Minnesota. One last ride, one last time. Warped Tour 2018. What did you think about their set, Nick?
They closed it out. I thought it was awesome. They had an awesome show. Their stage presence is always crazy, even though I was dead and tired from the day. All their energy keeps you going, you know?
Yeah, what do you think about Jordan? Jordan Buckley.
He's a monster.
I got a video of this, and I'm going to post it to my Instagram, probably, Shaun S. Johnson. Jordan Buckley grabs his like little stand. It's probably about 8 to 10 inches tall that he just can stand on whenever he's playing guitar to like be a riser, essentially, a little mini riser. He grabs it while he has the guitar slinged around his neck, puts it over, climbs off the stage, puts it over his head, bumps into one of the security guards, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll help you," after he realizes what's going on. He's like, "What the heck?" And then he puts it on top of the crowd holds it up, the security guard helps him on top of it. He's standing on top of like the front 3 or 4 rows with on top of his riser, playing his guitar like solo, essentially part of Map Change, the song that closed out their album that came out in September 2016. Ripper of a song, probably one of my favorite songs they've ever put out. When I first heard it, and I first saw the music video, when they're paying homage to Buffalo, New York, I would say that was my favorite Every Time I Die song back then. But right now, it's No Son of Mine. It always will be. That's my favorite song of all time. They didn't play it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No Son of Mine. This is my 19th time seeing Every Time I Die, and it's my first time seeing them when they don't play No Son of Mine. Crazy to me. Absolutely bonkers. I've seen them not play Ebola-Rama. I've seen them not play Wanderlust, all these other hits that had music videos or whatnot. But wow, to not see No Son of Mine, it does kind of hurt. But at least they saw
a little bit.
They played Floater. They ended with Fear and Trembling. I mean, they're set overall. What are you gonna do with 30 minutes?
Yeah,
you know, you can't do.
Yeah, that's
very
what I'm
much.
saying, man.
They played
It's
Thirst
hard.
and Decayin'. I mean, you can just play one or the other. Truthfully, I like both songs a lot. But
And Bimbos.
Underwater Bimbos, yeah, they played Floater into Underwater Bimbos, Map Change into Fear and Trembling, Bored Stiff, also. So it was a really good set. I'm gonna check out the setlist.fm. That's what I usually do after Every Time I Die show or a show I really wanted to see, and see if I'm like forgetting something, because you know I'm in the heat of the moment. I will say I was pretty much on the rail. I mean, I could have just put my hand there to like headbang. There was one dude next to me that knew like half the songs, so I was pretty impressed with that. Usually people don't know any of the words or nothing compared to me, at least, motherfuckers. So Warped Tour 2018. Let's talk about, just for a couple more minutes, let's talk about some of the stuff that we're just excited. We're just kind of happy to lay that memory to rest, essentially.
Yeah.
One being, Nick, I think you'll agree, has to be the water situation. What the heck?
It's bad. I mean, I saw multiple kids in the crowd being like fanned, and they were overheating, essentially, like numerous kids. It's not good. I mean, being just out there on blacktop, just getting baked in the sun, and there's very few like shade tents. There's kids always, anytime there's a bit of shade, even if it's by a trash can, they're gonna sit in it, you know, to get away from the sun. It's crazy.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, multiple times we saw those kids with like paramedics above them or like EMS or whatever, just to check on them, because they're just sitting there. There was one in particular, I think it was like our last time when we walked like to get water and like a snack or like French fries. There was like that girl that was just sitting there, like she had all her friends around her. It was like a crowd gathering around her, and they were like using like paper to like fan her.
Yeah, they were holding like a flag above her and stuff.
Yeah, they were covering her like with a flag, like the sun, I mean.
Yeah, it's
just kind of scary.
I mean, yeah, it's not, I don't know.
It's not that hard, guys.
You think with this many years in the books, like that would have been a takeaway. I'm sure it's not, obviously not the first time
Yeah.
Kids have been overheating. And
I'm surprised they just didn't invest in something to like shade. And all these years, I never saw one single time they had some like giant just shade.
Yeah.
Except for...
There were a couple stages. Fuel by Ramen's tent was pretty big and open for the most part. And there was one other one I saw. It was a big red tent that they didn't really have anything under it. And a lot of kids were sitting under it. But it's not enough, man.
It's not. I'm happy we did make this trip. Honestly, like, if Nick didn't go, I don't know if B-Word and I would have gone. If B-Word didn't go, I don't think Nick and I would have gone. And I don't think if I didn't go, you guys wouldn't have gone. That's kind of how I felt. When I thought about it midday, halfway through the day, I was like, you know what? Us three going together, that was a good way to end it. Cause
yeah, for sure.
It's pretty much where we're at. I mean, geez, Warped was awesome. Like I said, 7 years for me. B-Word's been 5 or 6. If you don't count like all of his stops working for Victory Records as a kid. And then Nick, this is your 2nd year, so I mean, all of us have been there, done that. Loved all those bands a lot. I'm happy to close that chapter off, though.
Yeah, man, I'm getting too old for that shit.
ETID closing out was pretty tight.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That was a perfect way to end it for you.
I will say, though, the porta potties were super clean. Not one time did I have a dirty porta potty.
Actually, I did not use them.
You didn't use a porta potty once?
Didn't use a porta potty.
Except for when you went in?
Yeah, except for the first time when we went in.
Dude, you should drink some more water then.
I know.
Remember when that girl said,
oh my God.
Give the mic to B, I want to hear him say it.
I was walking through the crowd and standing right in front of this girl, and she goes, guys, I don't think it's that hot anymore. I stopped sweating. And I just, as I walked by, I was like, you're probably going to have heat stroke, drink some water, and then kept walking.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That's pretty much the vibe and like the naivety of the whole tour. I mean, we were dealing with 14-year-olds. You gotta have the shade. You gotta have the water stations. You gotta have, because they're not gonna think about these things. 18-year-olds, they probably drank the night before. They snuck alcohol in. I went into a porta potty once. One time today. Towards the end of the day, there was a freaking bottle of Jack Daniels, like straight up, just in there. Like
crazy.
Somebody had snuck that in.
I mean, it didn't seem too hard to get. The security was nothing. So.
Right. Yeah. Literally, they just looked inside B-Word's bag and then like said, "Go ahead and go." No, but one thing I will say, real quick to cap it out. Pretty cool that we all went, enjoyed the music, and only enjoyed the music. None of us drank, not even a single drop.
Yeah.
So that was pretty tight. $7 beers, though, is kind of easy to...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was so hot. I don't know if I would have wanted to anyway.
I felt like I needed a cold beer at one point in time because it was so hot. Because the sun was beating down.
Also, Real Big Fish was playing the song Beer, but...
Yeah.
Subliminally getting in your head.
I like that tank top they had or whatever, that jersey, that basketball
they did have
jersey.
A lot of cool
it said beers.
merch. I saw so much cool merch.
Yeah, dude. You guys did buy some. Talk about what you bought real quick.
Oh yeah, Alex and I got shirts from this vendor called Stay Happy. They just had a bunch of cool, like, positive reinforcement stuff. I don't even know how to explain it.
It's just like cool heady stuff. If there was a heady place, that was a heady place.
No, it definitely was. I can't even remember the 2 sayings that were on the shirts that I got. So just something about you being one with the universe and caring about the planet. And then Alex, which ones did you get?
I got a UFO shirt that said I don't believe in humans, and then a Sasquatch meditating that said believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You got one that said treat the earth like you live there.
Oh yeah. Stop treating the earth like you don't live there.
Yeah. And then what was the other one?
I forget what the other one is, but it was a really cool one.
Yeah, they had great merch.
Yeah, a lot of cool merch. But you said it the best earlier in the day. Like, you saw a bunch of cool stuff, but you're just like, I'm 27, like, I can't rock that anymore.
Yeah, dude, like...
like, I saw a bunch of cool stuff that I liked, but I'm like, yeah, just so I wouldn't
that
wear
Donnie Darko, like, shirt, I couldn't rock that. There's no way. It's just a black shirt with, like, this crazy, awesome white, like, print of, like, the Donnie Darko rabbit and, like, one of the characters from the movie in front of it. Just crazy. The Black Cult Craft, whatever it is.
Craft.
Black Craft. their stuff is so amazing. Like, I love it. It's really cool, but I would never wear it. Like, one of them says, eat pussy, drink whiskey, and hail Satan. Like, I would never wear that. Where am I going to do that?
There's that shirt that you like that said, wrestling's real, God is fake.
Yeah. That was cool, too. Yeah, but like I said, I would never wear any of that. I'm too old. I'm 27. When I was 18 years old, I would have worn that fuck the Westboro Baptist Church shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I would have wore the fuck out of that. Fucking hell. I had a Day to Remember shirt with Pac-Man on it that said shut your fucking mouth. Like, I loved wearing those shirts.
Yep.
Forever. But anyway, let's close out this special edition episode of EZPZ Podcast. You guys, Vans Warped Tour 2018.
Signing out.
Probably got one more. No, I'm going to Osheaga, so I'm definitely going to do a special edition podcast or two there. And then also we got 515 Alive doing that pre-game podcast again. We'll see.
Yeah.
But my birthday and 515 Alive is also coming up, so lots of fun, more special episodes coming up for you. Back to our regular podcast next week. Hopefully getting Trey on the pod so we can talk about his vacation he just took. So thank you for joining us for EZPZ Podcast special episode Vans Warped Tour 2018. I'm Shaun S. Johnson on all social media. You can follow me, look at my Warped Tour pictures. I'm going to be posting some stuff tomorrow and throughout the week, probably by Thursday. I like to do like a TBT to like the last weekend, just to like give myself some time to actually edit the podcast and do other stuff around the house. Nick, you can find Nick at bazooka_Nick on Instagram. He's on Nick Gandy Art on Facebook, but doesn't use it much, but still message him if you want to work with him, have him do some commissions for you.
Yes, sir.
You can find B-Word at Alex B-Word on Instagram. And, of course, EZPZ at TheEZPZ on everything. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and we'll talk to you in a week.
Yeah.